Hey everyone, Matt here with another edition of Ask Ron. Ron, how's your day going today?
Man, it couldn't be a more beautiful day out here today. I just keep thinking of all those folks up there that are in sub-zero weather and feel so sorry for them. And there's no secret as to why people are moving to Florida in droves.
That is for sure.
Oh,
75 degrees and sunny right now.
couldn't be more beautiful.
All right, we got quite a few questions today. So let's
Okay,
go ahead and jump right into them.
let's do it.
The first few we have are no surprise from Tony and Angie up in Ohio.
That's good.
Can always rely on them. All right. Tony and Angie say, in the boot camp this week, great job, by the way. You mentioned that you were being forced into doing a staging for one of your condos. My question is, did you consider virtual staging and what are your thoughts on it?
Actually, I didn't, to tell you the truth. I'm probably going to try that. I mean, that what that means is we somebody creates a computer image with furniture in the house, but then I would think you'd have to tell them that the furniture that you see here is not in the house. And then what happens when they go out to the house and they see this big vacant hole? I'm not sure that virtual staging would do anything except maybe go look at it, but I don't think it's going to do anything to get them to buy it. But I've never tried it, to be honest with you. Why don't you guys try it and let me know how it works?
There we
Hey,
go.
I'm done with pioneering. You go, all of you watching, you go out and do your own pioneering and give me the results. I've got enough arrows in my back.
All right. The next question they have is
Mhm.
we set up Roth IRAs and we are in the process of having them set up LLCs. Did I hear correctly in the last quick start that Angie can be the manager of mine and I can be the manager of hers?
You didn't hear me say that. There's no law against it, but I promise you, like Quest IRA, for example, they won't even let you do it if they find out that the owner. Now, look, here's what you got to understand, guys. The husband and the wife are all one when it comes to the government. All right. So you got to have a non-qualified manager, which means they can't be in your linear descent or your spouse. Now, I'll say again, it's not illegal for you to even be the manager, but it's very risky because if you write yourself a check for $10, you're violating IRS rules and they can come in and cause all kind of havoc on you. And from what I'm told, they got people that are just looking for LLC owners. I mean, LLCs that have IRA owners because they know they're probably screwed up and they could get some money out of them. I wouldn't do it. Anybody can be your manager. I mean, anybody you know, any friend, relative, employee, it doesn't matter because all they do is sign checks. And if you're worried about that, just get them to sign a bunch of them and you take control of the checkbook.
Yeah, it's a good idea. All right. Tony and Angie's next question is there any reason the IRA should own multiple LLCs? For example, if I do both note investing and wholesaling in them.
No, your IRA, I mean, your LLC can do anything you want it to, but it should be in the real estate realm. If you're operating another business, that does need to be another LLC, but not because it's IRA owned. And by the way, if you operate a business in your IRA is going to pay taxes as if the business wasn't in your IRA and maybe even at a higher bracket. So personally, I don't suggest operating a business in your IRA, even though I can make the case that gosh, even if it has to pay taxes, whatever's left stays in the IRA and grows tax free forever. But I don't think you're going to like operating a business inside your IRA, even though I know a lot of people do.
Perfect. There you go, guys. All right, moving on to the next question. We have Pauline in Texas. Pauline says, I love the testimonials and I can't wait for when I can give mine. I'm wondering if, Ron, you would consider doing a YouTube video on where your earliest students are today and how they are going in their journey.
Pauline, that is a great question. I read it before we got on the air, and I've already taken down that note right there. And I will deal with my staff on just exactly that because I think that is a great suggestion. And boy, do we have a ton of them, a ton of them. I mean, everywhere we go, we get students been around 20 years or more and doing so well. You know, they don't come back to Papa so much after they figured out they don't learn it all. And I understand that because I'd be probably just like them. But every once in a while, they come back and get in the loop. So I think that would make some tremendous testimonials because I've got an awful lot of people out there that changed their lives and all the lives beyond them, just like I did in 1982 when I went to my first seminar. I mean, look at all of our mentors are exactly who you want to hear from. You know how that's the reason I picked them because they're successful and they have a servant's heart. I mean, look at Jay Conner, for example. He's not one of our mentors, but he's one of our providers. Look at him. Started 12, 13 years ago now. He ain't made less than $2 million a year in the last 3 years running, and now less than $1 million a year in all the years prior to that. What a great example of what attending one seminar can do for you if you got your head in it and actually willing to do something with it. So yeah, I'm going to follow forward with that one. It's a big task, I can tell you that, but we're up to it. I'd like to see that myself.
You and me both. Great question, Pauline.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next one. We have Robert in Texas. Robert says, I was wanting to know the best way to come up with comps now. I've heard good and bad about Zillow. What are your thoughts?
Does he live in Texas?
Yes.
I don't have a good answer to where you can get good comps in Texas, but you know, we do have a forum. Might want to get on there and talk to people that are in Texas on your Gold Club site. And next time we do an event where we're opening it up for communication with each other, like we just did last week, make sure you ask people who live in Texas that answer. And then there's always Texas attorneys. For example, Scott Horn is the attorney that I drive people to in Texas to do seller financing deals because they have to be very carefully handled, and or lease option deals, which also have to be carefully handled. So he would easily be able to answer that question. Scott Horn, he's in Dallas, should not be hard to find. And I got so many students in Texas, but I can't think of them right off the bat. Geez, a ton of Texans. A lot of them getting their comps, I think, through realtors. And that wouldn't be hard to do as long as you work out some arrangement to have the realtor provide them to you. Again, I think of my friend Jay Conner. Jay Conner can get comps in North Carolina, but he don't. He just has his realtor pull them for him because he lists all of his houses with the realtor, so the realtor doesn't charge him anything. So I don't know that's conducive for you to do or not, because Jay does a lot of business. But there's the best answer you're going to get is somebody that is very active in Texas right now. And if you're watching this and you are one of those people, please let us know, because that's not the first time I've heard that question.
Right. And Robert, if you're looking for Scott Horn's information, you can't find it on Google, go to ronsgoldclub.com, our homepage, scroll down to the link where it mentions attorneys, and his contact information is right there.
Okay.
All right. Our next question is from Bernice out in California.
Bernice.
Bernice says, I want your suggestions on if or how I can help some of my family members, in specific, one of my aunts. My grandma passed away about a month ago, and she left 2 clean and clear houses to 4 of her kids. Both houses are divided into 2, so each adult kid has half of a house. Weird, I know. One of my aunts wants to buy my uncle's out of his half, and he is okay with it. He suggested an appraisal, then for her to ask for a loan to pay him off. Is there something I can do without owner financing or lease purchase?
Well, if you're looking at that as an investor trying to make money out of it, I'm not sure how you're going to do that, because the uncle probably wants to buy the house to live in, would be my guess. Either way, he wants to buy it, therefore he doesn't really want to sell it. So I don't know until somebody gets clear title. I mean, you could always make an offer on the house to the 2 that own it. And incidentally, they don't own half the house. They own half interest in the house. The house is not divided down the middle. Okay. So very likely they're going to want to sell it. So that's the best thing to do, is get a hold of whoever's in charge and ask them, saying all the questions on the PI sheet, and then right on down to whether they'd be interested in terms, or whether they got to have all cash. Now, if they inherited these houses, I'd be inclined to believe that they'd take a low price for them, all cash, because they don't have any, work or equity in them. They just got it for free. So in my experience, people who are selling probate houses like that don't think about them like the parent who paid them for 30 years to get them free and clear. So that's the only way I know that you can make money off of that. You got to work with the owners of the house, and then there's two of them. And in the case where the uncle wants to buy all of one, I don't see why he'd want to sell it if he's trying to buy. Well, I don't know. You don't know till you ask. Maybe he's trying to buy his part so he can sell it. I don't know. But if he suggested she gets an appraisal, that would be a dumb move on his part, because now the appraisal is going to show the retail value of it. Now the other side is going to want half of that. So that would be retail. Of course, well, when I think about it, though, he's only buying half, so he don't have to pay full price for the house. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you maybe he wants to buy half so he can sell the whole and keep the other half. And he's still going to have to figure out how to pay her off.
Yep. Gotta find out who's in charge.
Well, let me retread here. Even if he has to pay her retail price for half the house, he still gets the other half when he sells the house. So he very well may want to do that.
There you go, Bernice. All right, Ron. We've come to our final question of the day, and this one's from Robert in Oregon. Robert asks, what if a person was to use light blue, green, orange, or even teal instead of yellow on the yellow letters? Do you think that would work?
Robert, why do you want to change the yellow? Why are you trying to? I know you're a man. I know. I got it. If it's working perfectly, you've got to fix it, right, Robert? What the hell difference does it make if what color it is? But the yellow works. Why do you want to change it? For crying out loud! In fact, Mark Mostek, Tish's fiance, is sending out yellow letters to mobile home park owners, and he's getting quite a response. Just mailed a batch this week, and boy, 2 days later, they started pounding him with calls from mobile home park owners. Those things still work. Don't fix them. Yeah, but I know if it's working perfectly, it's got to be fixed, right, Robert? I get it. That's what us men do. I get it. It's about who you mail it to, and it's about how you don't go and screw it up. And you don't add anything to it. You don't put a website on it. You don't do any of that crap. You do it just like it's written, and it'll work until you figure out a way to screw it up. Live stamp. It looks like it's hand addressed, but it is not. Christy King will send them for you, and it looks like a handwritten font. And tuck the flap in, don't seal it, so it looks like a letter from grandma. That defeats the biggest problem of direct mail, and that's getting the letter open. Nobody's going to throw that in the trash without getting it open, okay? And then here's a simple yellow letter. Hi, my name is Ron. My wife is Bev. I'd like to buy your house at house address. Please call me at phone number. Done. Period. Looks like a personal letter, which it is, but more like a family wanting to buy their house. You know, something they probably think, well, I'm the only one that got this letter. They must love my house. I need to call them, and they will. They'll call you and tell you they're not ready to sell, and be polite. And then of course the ones you want are the ones that call you and tell you, well, what do you got in mind? In other words, they may not have been thinking about selling until you put the proposition to them. So the second problem with direct mail is getting the letter read. Ain't nobody going to throw that letter away before it's read, and then get them to respond. And the fact that it's personal and not from a business, it tends to get people to respond better. The yellow letter has been working now for about 21 years. That's how far back it was invented in my office by John McNeil, who used to be my partner and go out and find some junkers, and we split the profit. And it's been working ever since. It works all over the country. It works all over Canada, and it still works. And I'm still using it. Okay, not like I used to, but like I said, we're using it to buy houses as well. Come to think about it, my acquisitionist Al, man, I forgot who he mails them to though. He's still mailing yellow letters, smaller amounts. Actually, no, we actually did a mailing just a couple of weeks ago for 1,500, I think, and we got pretty good response on it. So it still works, but it's just one thing in your portfolio of ways to get deals. And guys, by the way, if you don't know it, I got 2 courses on finding qualified leads. You ought to check, and they're all in one now. Check with the office, because you won't have to worry about where to get leads if you go through all of that. That was 2-3 day courses, edited down, of course. But it's true. You got to get quality leads or you don't have a business. So at least you're thinking the right way. Just quit trying to change everything, man. Tell you what, if you try it and it don't work, just go and do something else. It is really that simple, huh? And that's what we're doing. That's what we did all last year. Try some stuff that didn't work, and we narrowed it down to what did work. For example, I spent $30,000 on 30-second TV ads. Bombed. Got a lot of calls, but all they want to do is rent houses. And that's over a period of 3 months. And that's right here in my area. I don't want you to do that kind of crap. All right. In fact, the stuff that I do, I'm really kind of just testing it out for you to make sure that it works for me. But even then, what works for me may not work for you. For example, a smaller city you live in, the better results you're going to get at a cheaper price because you have less competition. Okay, I don't live in a small city, so I got a lot of competition. And that means my cost of getting a lead is going to be much higher than maybe yours. But, none of that really matters if you're getting deals from them, because one deal, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 to make all that crap irrelevant. But it's hard to start thinking like that because you spend the money and you don't know if it's going to work or not. And I get that. So start small with little or no money spent on marketing. And there's tons of ways to do that. Get a deal or two in the till, and maybe you can invest some of that into have literally invest it and have other people get the leads for you, which we have a whole list of those too in our boot camp manual. Speaking of which, we're coming in February now. You guys want to come to Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Only shot this year, charge it off. Going to be there on the 20th through the 23rd in a nice hotel at only 129. Now, I probably shouldn't keep saying that because I think it's 169 now already. It's going to go up to 189 in the next few days. So if you're coming to Vegas, you better get registered right now. And you're not going to be in a casino. You're going to be off the strip a little ways, so you don't have to hear all that clanging and banging of those machines every time you come down there. But the strip is walking distance to the strip. So get in the loop. If you want to really get in this business and you want to get launched this year, you got to come to these 4-day event. Okay, you can watch all the YouTube videos you want. Watch them till your eyes close and your ears bleed. Ain't going to help you a bit until you get the focused training that we do in the 4-day event. That's what it's about. Focusing on pretty houses and ugly house business, and with stuff you've never heard before in your life. I promise you that. So that's where our millionaires that I'm going to go find and make a video of all started. And many of them have been to that event several times, because it is a lot to absorb. But once you get through the first one, now you can get out there and launch your business. And then when you come back, you hear a lot of new stuff you didn't hear, or stuff you forgot that you heard, and new ideas as well, because we're always changing this thing and always coming up with new resources. So do yourself a favor and do whatever you can. We've even got a financing plan for you. Get in Vegas, and especially if you're on the West Coast. That's the only one we're going to do in the whole West Coast this year. Besides, who wouldn't like to come to Vegas and charge it off?
Right?
I promise you
Exactly.
my wife will be there, but you'll never see her in the event. You'll see her in front of a video poker machine.
And Robert, I believe you've been asking, when's Ron coming to the West Coast? Here's your chance. He's going to Vegas, February 20th to 23rd.
There you go. Okay, is that it?
Ron, that was it. That's all she wrote.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. Go out there and get some deals.